Hello and welcome to the Formation Lab. It is a big hello and welcome to Neil Crompton, who joins me for this episode.
Hey, Jess.
Hey, Crompo, good to see you.
And you.
So we are now 2 rounds into the season and we've seen 2 different teams dominate at 2 very different race circuits. So how does that set the stage heading into round 3 in New Zealand?
Well, hello to you. Hi to everybody. It sets the stage for what's going to be a wide open race meeting. We've had epic racing so far this year. If you look at the number of winners versus the number of races, of which we've had 6 so far, we should have had 7, but we've had a whole lot of variety. It's been very, very close, and I think that's going to continue when we get to NZ.
I think one of the highlights of the season so far has been the chaos. We've had hard, fierce racing. There's been a lot of debate around how that's played out on track, but we saw it at the Australian Grand Prix. Does it mean the gloves are off moving forward?
Well, I think the phrase that's been used is there's a lot more play on, and that was evident at Sydney Motorsport Park at the first event. The truth of the matter is the rules have not changed, and they're in the operations manual, and the structure and the way in which it operates is exactly as it's always been. Perhaps the interpretation from the driving standards advisor and the way in which the stewards see it is a little bit more wide open. It's obviously been the source of debate in the last couple of race meetings, but I think everybody generally likes the idea of the vigour. Just got to make sure that it doesn't get too out of control.
Well, it was a milestone moment for Matt Stone Racing and Cam Hill at the Australian Grand Prix. The team taking their first ever 1-2 and Cam Hill clocking up his first ever win in supercars.
Who doesn't love supercars on a school night? Thursday evening racing in the city. Oh, whoa, we got some wildlife. Oh! It's going to get into the back of Reynolds. Oh, now Stanway's gone. But how about Brock Feeney? He gets his just desserts.
Race number 2, supercar action in Melbourne. Hill, nice work. And have a look at Percat.
Very on, big shot there. Jack LeBron in the fence at turn 5.
They make contact at 4. More contact. It looks like MSR, Matt Stone Racing, going to have a big day on Friday in Melbourne. It is a moment of crowning glory for Cam Hill, who puts together a big win in Melbourne in his supercar.
Nice job, Brock Feeney.
Payne's been tagged, and have a go at this.
Wow, what an opening lap.
Percat, who refuses to concede.
That was good, really good.
It's not just wet, it's heavy wet out there at the moment.
Race control attention all teams. Race 7 will not be resuming.
Sorry about that, mate. So this race doesn't count. Yep.
And congratulations, Will Brown, winning for the second time and first driver to go back-to-back with the Larry Perkins Trophy.
We had just about everything at the Australian Grand Prix, but it is a weekend that Cam Hill will never forget, and he joins us now on the line. Hey Cam, it's been a busy couple of weeks for you. Before we talk shop, congratulations on getting married the other week. Tell me, what's been better, the wedding or winning your first supercars race a couple of weeks ago in Melbourne?
This is a trick question, of course. It's the wedding, absolutely. We had a fantastic day in Canberra. We were lucky with the weather. It looked like the Grand Prix in the morning, and it was a bit of a concern, but it came good. And yeah, we had a fabulous day. But yeah, it was sort of back to back with the Grand Prix, and I had a cracker a few weeks there, which was really cool.
Correct answer, mate. You got that one right off the bat. So congratulations. That was a beautiful drive in Melbourne. We were really thrilled to see it. You said something to me just recently, and I thought it was poignant, that you now feel as though you belong in the supercar field, and that was evident when we were in Melbourne. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think, 3rd year for me in the main game, and it's all the little things that just take time to get your head around and have confidence. These, short qualifying sessions, you don't really get exposed to that sort of pressure all the time on the way through. So, that was a big focus for me this year, was to try be able to execute in those sessions. And yeah, we had a good stint in qualifying there with a couple runs in the front row. So that really helps the race results if you can start at the front.
You've had a couple of big weeks, but so has your mum. Has she quite recovered? She was a mess in the garage at the end of Friday. Just tell us about the reaction from all the people that have been part of this journey for you to this point.
Yeah, it was really cool. Poor mum, she seems to be a magnet for the TV camera. But yeah, she certainly can't hide her emotions. There's Dad as well. Like, it's pretty cool that mum and dad get to share this with me now. Like, they were a massive part of the journey to get here, right? And they put a lot in, and a lot of time, money, and blood, sweat, and tears, as they say. So yeah, the fact that they can now be part of this and just watch. She still seems pretty stressed though, doesn't she? So, but no, she's calmed down. But she'll be at Taupo as well, mum and dad. So no, hopefully we can have some more good memories.
Your dad Colin's been part of the journey from '86, your Carrera Cup Championship, Dunlop Super 2. In fact, if we go even further back, Formula Ford, and then obviously what you achieved the other day, where do you put that win in the scale, and has his heart rate come down? Because I know him pretty well. I reckon he would have been completely off the scale.
Yeah, Dad's got a pretty good poker face, but I reckon it would have got the heart rate up for sure. That one, it would have to be up there probably in terms of, yeah, biggest days in my career. To win on the big stage at the Grand Prix as well, like that event was just so cool to see such a massive crowd, and all the people underneath the podium there. I think where we were set up was a really cool thing. So yeah, I'm going to look back on that day very fondly.
It wasn't just your personal performance, it was a really dominant performance from the team. I was up at the workshop the other day catching up with Matt and some of the boys, and that trickle-down effect has had a profound impact on the entire team. Just tell us about what the debrief has been like and understanding what you did really well and how you might be able to replicate that going forward.
Yeah, I think, a result like that, obviously with a 1-2 for me and Nick, it just lifts everyone because, everyone in pit lane is putting in, a massive amount of effort to try have success in this sport. And, the guys that are, coming 20th are pretty much putting in the same amount of effort as the guys that come first. So it's really gratifying for them to be able to see the outcome of all their hard work that they've put in. And it also shows that, some of the little things that, we've been building over the last couple of years and Matt's been working towards are starting to pay off in terms of performance. And I certainly felt it, even at Sydney. I know we had a bit of a shocker at Sydney, but I sort of thought, we've actually got, some good ingredients here. Like everyone seemed to be working really well together. And I think a few things in the background have just sort of lined up for us. And, now we're seeing it transpire on the track, which is good.
So is that a specific step forward in the setup of the car, Cam, or did you just uniquely have a setup that worked beautifully for the AGP? You generally feel like you're making some ground in trying to find where true north is with the setup of the car.
I think it's probably a little bit track specific. We had good cars there last year. Nick obviously got that win back in 2024. So we had a really good base, and it really helps when you roll out of the truck fast. This whole game is geared towards pressure on the teams and the drivers. And, when you work out actually how many setup changes you can put into the car before qualifying, we're talking like 4 changes. And so, if you're more than 4 changes away from a fast race car, it's going to be a tough weekend and you have to make big swings. But obviously we had a really good base. But also I feel like what we've really developed in the past sort of 12 months, and my role in this is important too, in terms of understanding the car, what I want from the car. And then, if we aren't quite where we need to be, being able to quickly find our way again. And I think, the engineering group as a whole, we definitely have a really good feel for the Gen 3 car and the tools that we have in the toolbox.
Sunday morning looked pretty brutal. That weather, once the track gets that mirror shine on it and a depth of water, it's pretty spooky. What was your read on the scenario of not having the run on Sunday?
Yeah, I was probably 50-50. I was on the fence. The grip felt fine when we're doing 80, right? And obviously being out the front, I think we probably would have been okay. And obviously you're always disappointed to not be able to convert on a qualifying performance. But I also recognise that, the guys from basically third or fourth back, they're probably not going to be able to see. And when we're on that back straight section going north of 240, if you can't see where the standing water is, you could get yourself into some pretty big trouble pretty quickly. So it is part of being the support category at the Grand Prix is that we've got the small time slot to get the race done. If it was an hour-long race, we probably could have just kept circulating. We would have caught that break in the weather and we might have been able to get going. But, they had to make a call there and then and with the information they had.
Cam, just quickly, how does the success and the great momentum the team's been able to generate carry through to New Zealand in Taupō?
Well, hopefully it carries through really well. But, I think for all of us, there's belief that we can have results like this, hopefully week in, week out. It's a seriously, seriously tough category. And, I think it's near on impossible to be dominating every weekend. That's just the nature of the game. And I think we see strengths and weaknesses from team to team. We'll see that transpire throughout the year. But, going to Taupo, I feel pretty good about it. I sort of had pretty good race pace there last year. And if I can keep sort of, making those improvements in the qualifying part of my game, then hopefully I'll get more opportunities to race towards the pointy end.
Well, Cam, you spent the last couple of weeks drinking champagne. We hope it keeps flowing for you when we head across the ditch to New Zealand. Thanks for having a chat with us here on the Formation Lap. We'll see you in New Zealand.
Thanks, guys. See you there.
See you, mate.
And let's have a look at how the championship landscape sits as we head into round 3. Will Brown snatched the lead at Albert Park and he sits 7 points ahead of Cameron Waters. Brock Feeney's in third, 49 points adrift of his teammate, and he was probably the most disappointed not to go racing on Sunday at the Grand Prix, starting from pole position. Mostert and Kostecki round out the top 5. And this is what the team's championship looks like. Rebel Ampol Racing team leading the way. Tickford have hung on to second. The Matt Stone Racing were the big movers. They've moved into 5th spot after a weekend to remember at the Australian Grand Prix. Time for a quick break here on the Formation Lap. Coming up next, we'll look ahead to round 3 at Taupō in New Zealand, and we'll speak to last year's inaugural race winner, Andre Heimgartner. But as we head to a very quick break, more reaction from that incredible moment for Matt Stone Racing, and you'll be able to see our full interview in our coverage in New Zealand.
It looks like MSR, Matt Stone Racing, going to have a big day on Friday in Melbourne.
We've been in motorsport a long time. We know things can go wrong. So we were very quiet. But as soon as they crossed the line, it was a pretty special moment.
It is a moment of crowning glory for Cam Hill, who puts together a big, big win in Melbourne in his supercar. Well done, Cam Hill. Matt Stone Racing 1 and 2.
A very proud dad moment.
Otherwise you're going to look like you've got tears in your eyes all the time.
Bit much for me.
For Matt Stone, how good is that? A 1-2 on one of the biggest stages.
My phone started going with messages and I just had to congratulate him. I think we only did it a few times, so it was a pretty special moment for him.
There must have been something in the water in New Zealand in the late 1930s. Some of the greatest race car drivers on the planet were born. Denny Hulme, Bruce McLaren and Chris Amon left Kiwi soil to chase their dreams of becoming world champions on the biggest stage. And their legacies would shape the motorsport landscape forever. Nicknamed the Bear, Hulme became an F1 world champion in 1967, amassing 8 victories over 10 years at the top. In his early career, he preferred to drive barefoot. He said it gave him a better feel of the throttle. Bruce McLaren revolutionised the game, becoming the youngest ever to win a Formula One Grand Prix. a record he held for 44 years, invested only by current world champion Max Verstappen. He wasn't just a driver, he was an engineer and automotive visionary, founding one of the oldest teams in Formula One. They pioneered a global platform for generations to come. Jim Richards and Robbie Francevic were the tin-top titans down under in the 70s and 80s. Gentleman Jim garnered a reputation as a fair and honest racer with just enough mongrel to claim 7 Bathurst 1000 victories.
He's driving as well now as he's ever been. Unbelievable stuff. The 2 Kiwis do it.
And every Kiwi that came after him has tried to emulate Richo on the mountain. Paul Radisich, Jason Richards, even me.
The most incredible lap you're ever going to see.
Now morph that into the modern era and the stakes have only risen.
Tell us what you think.
Yeah! Scott McLaughlin and Shane Van Gisbergen, multiple Supercars champions, join a growing list of world-class Kiwi exports like Scott Dixon and Liam Lawson. It's almost impossible to narrow down any one thing that makes us Kiwis so good. It might be the gnarly racetracks all over the country, or the challenging conditions that develop our supreme car control and grit. But when it comes down to it, quite simply, motorsport is in our blood.
Chalk up one for the Kiwis.
So who will write their name into the next chapter of this rich and storied history? Welcome to the ITM Taupō Super 440, only on Fox Sports.
Welcome back to the formation lap. So lovely to look back on some of those incredible images and think about the wonderful history and legacy that exists in motorsport in New Zealand. When you think about some of those names, they did really set the platform for what we enjoy today.
It's truly extraordinary, isn't it? And in this part of the world, both in Australia and New Zealand, for a long period of time, the countries are punched well above their weight. And it's not just with drivers, it's with engineers and mechanics and people that have been a huge part of Northern Hemisphere big-time motorsports. I love that piece there. It really sums it up, and Murph did a great job. But some of what's been achieved in Formula One, IndyCar and especially in supercars is really special.
It certainly is. It's religion in New Zealand. It's why they flock and we love it. Now, rip, tear and bust at the Australian Grand Prix. Just talk us through the race formats that we'll have when we get to Taupō.
Are very different. So one of the big changes of 2025 is that nobody gets to set and forget with their setup, because we've got a whole variety of different formats each day. So 2 sprint races on Saturday, but note the little line at the bottom there where the Saturday race 1 and race 2, different tyres. That's a really big part of the story. Sunday, an extended race that involves fuel and again going back to the soft tyre. So the premise behind this is that what tends to happen, Jess, is there's an enormous amount of monkey see, monkey do. So once a format or a method to succeed has been trialled and proven by one of the lead teams, everybody else falls into line. So when you scramble the distance and you scramble the adding of fuel, you scramble the tyre compounds, that becomes infinitely harder. And so the degree of difficulty's gone up exponentially. It'll be interesting to see how it works out when we get there.
Indeed, and we're expecting another sellout crowd this year. Not even the torrential rain last year could keep them from coming to watch this man, Andre Heimgartner, become the inaugural race winner in Taupō. Hey, Andre, as a Kiwi, does it get any better than last year?
Hi guys, yeah, it's obviously pretty special being a Kiwi, and you know, for us also, like we hold supercars very close to our heart as a nation, and having it moved from Pukekohe to Taupo was obviously something pretty cool and exciting, a totally different part of New Zealand for everyone to see, and the racing was awesome. It was obviously a classic New Zealand day, as you can see there, in the wet doing a burnout, but yeah, it was definitely one of the best days of my career, being able to tick that off to win a race in New Zealand. You know, driving the number 8 car too, that, you know, same number as Jason Richards. Yeah, definitely special.
The really impressive part about that drive last year, Andre, was the extraordinary pressure, and it did not let up, and the track conditions were horrendous. That would have to be, surely in your career, one of the most impressive mental performances over the journey.
Yeah, I think obviously, you know, I was leading the race from pretty early on there, and then had Chaz sort of pestering me a lot of the time, and you know, that's hard enough in dry conditions when things are staying the same, but we had a track that was drying, and then it got really wet again. Obviously, we pitted out on new, cold, wet tyres. So there's lots of different factors to be involved. And then also just realising that, if you just don't make any wrong mistakes, you could sort of realise something you've been trying to achieve since you're a little kid watching Greg Murphy in the stands. So, yeah, for sure it was something where you need to keep yourself cool. But on that last lap, there's one part of the track out the back which is pretty dodgy, and once I got through that, I was pretty pumped and excited and knew I could sort of bring it home. So, yeah, it's one of those things definitely marks down as an all-round, probably one of my better performances.
You were just picked for the Jason Richards Memorial Trophy. In fact, it's happened to you twice. Just tell us what it would mean to you, but especially to the team, to be able to go to New Zealand this year and get your hands on that bit of silverware.
Yeah, obviously last time I raced at Prix was really good. We got 2 podiums and just finished shy of the trophy, finished 3rd, and then last year we're only like 4 or 5 points off. We finished 2nd for the trophy there. So the natural progression hopefully is this time we actually win it. But yeah, you could tell when I won the race in New Zealand, the emotion in Brad's voice, how much, racing in New Zealand, racing for that trophy, and obviously still racing the number 8 car means to obviously myself and the whole team. He's a great part of our organisation until he unfortunately passed away. So yeah, I think it's something they haven't won since, I think Jason Bright won it the first year maybe it was available at Pukekohe. So to bring that back home and have it at our workshop, I think would mean a lot to everyone.
And the other really special part of that story, Andre, as you well know, is the B pillar on all the Brad Jones racing cars. They've got the little JR star on the cars, and so it's a never forget moment. Now, the other thing that was really extraordinary about Taupō last year was the run into town, and the track to town exercise was huge. I was lucky enough to see it many, many years ago at Pikes Peak at the hill climb over in the States, and they do it in some of the sports car races. Really brings supercars to the fans. It's just epic, and I'm sure for you guys it's fulfilling to have so much warmth from the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great thing. I think, we're all a bit not sure how it'd go to start with, but the amount of people that were lined on the street, I was blown away. It was absolutely amazing. I've seen nothing like it before at any sort of race event I've been to. So, us New Zealanders, we do it properly, so nowhere else was quite as good as New Zealand. But it was all right. It was cool. It's cool that we do it at other places, get the fans more involved. They get to see the cars up close and personal, and it's good promotion and good to meet all the fans for us.
Yeah, we really set the bar with that one, didn't we? Yeah. Kicking it off in Taupō. We've got 5 Kiwis in the field this year. Just talk to us about the New Zealand-Aussie rivalry and how that goes up a notch when we cross the ditch to go racing.
Yeah, it's something we don't really think about too much until we get to New Zealand. I think obviously us Kiwis, we're quite patriotic, and we're always sort of the little brother, I guess, of Australia. So we always want to get one in on Australia. So for sure, when we come to New Zealand, it's a bit of our home ground. It's where, like Ryan Wood spent a lot of time in Taupō growing up. I spent a lot of time there. We both had holiday homes. My dad raced at that track, so I was out the back, riding quad bikes and stuff. So we're quite emotionally attached to New Zealand, and especially those areas. So, for all of us, it's one on the map that, it's tied with almost sort of winning Bathurst if you do really well at home. It's in front of everyone you grew up in front of, obviously all your families there that can't come over to Australia all the time. So it's something we don't get to enjoy very often. So yeah, it's definitely special.
Well, we really hope that the heroics we saw from you last year can be replicated this year, perhaps with a little less rain, maybe. I think everyone would probably enjoy that.
It's not a strategy, Jess.
Of course. Thanks for having a chat with us, and we'll see you in Taupō.
Awesome. Thanks. See you guys there.
See you, Andre.
All right, it is time now for our Fast 5, and we are going to make them snappy. OK, Neil, will Tickford return to form in Taupō?
Yes.
OK, I
Wanted
like
it snappy. They're fast. Qualifying at the AGP stymied the run. OK. Will a Kiwi win a race in New Zealand? I'm going to have to say yes. I've got to go there.
Well,
they won't let me in.
No bad chance. There's 5 of them, and they're all
Woody's
fast.
The bloke we're just talking to is fast. Yes, it's a high possibility.
Which one?
Oh,
yeah.
Andre Heimgartner, because I'm playing to the crowd. Ryan Wood, Matt Payne, a lot of speed there. Now I'm going to have to say Jackson Evans. How the hell can I isolate
you've
that?
Now
I hate
5.
this game.
Lucky we've got a couple of races in New Zealand. You might actually have picked one. Will Will Brown be leading the championship at the end of New Zealand because he's just snatched it at the Grand Prix?
He did this to me. He came in with a 60-point margin going in. He popped out the other side. Cam Waters had a 60-point margin. He popped out with a 7-point deficit. So this swings so quickly and unexpectedly. So, you know, I got caught last time saying Cam would be the man. But look, I don't know. Yeah, probably.
2 rounds in New Zealand? Yes, we should definitely
we'd love it,
yes,
and they're working on it. Yeah,
which
South
is great.
Island.
All right,
beautiful.
Let's see. Well, don't forget, we've got you covered right here on Fox Sports for round 3 of the Repco Supercars Championship, our live coverage from the 11th of April right across the weekend. Do not miss it. Neil Crompton, thank you for being on the Formation Lap, and thanks to you at home for tuning in. We'll see you in New Zealand.